Hello and welcome to Bounding Into Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounding Into Comics. Today I got a story about Marvel Studios Executive Vice President Victoria Alonso claiming that, quote, "you're leaving money on the table by not representing," end quote. Before we get to that story, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button if you are not already subscribed. If you are already subscribed, please make sure you are still subscribed. YouTube likes to unsubscribe people for whatever reason. And then hopefully by the end of this video, I'll have earned your like and you will give us a like, and that you will share this video with your friends and family. And then don't forget to hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of Bounding Into Comics' upcoming videos. With that out of the way, I'd like to get to the meat of the story. And as I said, Marvel Studios Executive Vice President Victoria Alonso recently discussed the company's new focus on inclusion and diversity while promoting the upcoming animated series What If? Alonso appeared at the Annecy International Animation Film Festival to promote the show. She appeared during a Women in Animation panel where she revealed a new clip of Peggy Carter transforming into her super soldier form of Captain Britain, not to be confused with the Marvel Comics character Captain Britain, who is a X-Men character now. But not only did Alonso promote the show, she also discussed Marvel's focus on diversity and inclusion, and shockingly revealed Marvel's entire shift to diversity and representation is simply to make more money. That's right, she admitted that Disney is literally pandering in their focus on diversity and inclusion. So as reported by Deadline, she claimed diversity, inclusion, and gender parity, quote, all go hand in hand with showing the world as it is. There's about 6,000 characters in the Marvel library that we have access to, so if this goes right, we will be telling these stories for many, 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 many generations to come. And the importance of laying the groundwork for what's to come is that in those stories, there's many different characters that you can actually voice. Alonso would also claim that she's asked, quote, aren't you tired every time your movie comes out? It's #1 in the world. She wanted to describe that question as odd before elaborating, saying, the reason we have this success consistently is because our audience is global. You cannot have a global audience and not somehow start to represent it. For us, it was really, really, really important to have that. She continued saying, for the longest of time, we heard a woman-led film will never open. I say, please check Captain Marvel made a lot of money. Then they always told us that Black Panther was never going to open and that nobody wanted a completely black cast, and that made $1.3 billion. So you can look at it from the social point of view, the cultural point of view, but truthfully, this is a business. From a fiscal point of view, you are leaving money on the table by not representing. She then provided some numbers about Marvel's audience. She said, I think 51% of our audience is female, 28% of our audience is Hispanic. If we don't represent the people that watch what we make, eventually they'll go elsewhere because somebody else will figure it out. She concluded saying, we can only tell stories if we succeed and actually have money to make them. So the idea being, if it makes money, why not make it? To me, it seemed like a very simple equation, but it took a lot of time, a lot of talking. That's really interesting that they're shifting towards this diversity and inclusion initiative, thinking that they're going to be making more money when all of this audience that they say they have was fine with what they were giving you before they switched to pandering to these audiences. So it'll be interesting to see if Disney's pandering actually plays out in Phase 4. I'm inclined to believe that it won't, that you won't see another Avengers Endgame anytime in the future unless they switch away from this pandering model that they are now using, that Alonso is admitting that they're using, shockingly admitting that they're using. While Alonso now claims Disney's entire strategy is based on pandering to their global audience, she previously detailed us about the future generations. In a Reddit Ask Me Anything back in 2019, she said, quote, the best part of working for Marvel Studios is 100% all of it, but most importantly, to be able to show new generations the characters that represent them in each and every way has given me great pride. So in 2019, it wasn't about the money, it was about showing new generations characters that represent them. Now, in 2021, apparently it's all about the money. One has to wonder if even in 2019, when they were preparing us for this Marvel Phase 4, that it was all about the money. My guess is that it's always been about the money, and that their whole strategy has always been about pandering to this global audience that they earned through quality work in the previous MCU phases, that they now are going to decide to change the focus from what got them to where they are to now pandering to the global audience that showed up because of what they did before they were pandering to them. Not only did she discuss pandering to the global audience and admit it, she also discussed women in animation's goal of women being in 50% of the creative jobs in animation. Remember, she appeared at a Women in Animation panel, so she was discussing one of that organization's goals, which is having 50% of the creative jobs in animation belong to women. This is what she said. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind and in my heart that you can get there, but the we is the part that worries me. We have to do it together, because you can have an isolated group of people that are pushing and shoving and making sure that this is their priority. And yes, they will make a change in that group of people, but you won't make a true measurable change unless we do it as a whole. My hope is that in every room, in every conversation, in every meeting, in every moment of consideration for others, that people actually take the time to think and say, is this a balanced story, or is this a one-person point of view story? She added, it's okay to have one point of view clearly, but what's important is that if your lead is of a certain type, that doesn't mean that everyone around is the same. She then further elaborated, saying, when I walk into a room, I do a head count of how many women. If there's only 3 women in the room and there's 17 men, I usually make this comment, oh, there's a lot of men here today. Is it passive-aggressive? No. You can take it that way if you have a dirty conscience. It's really calling it what it is. It's my reality, but I'm 15% of that equation. Still, at this level, it's still not 50-50. I also don't want a room full of women. I truly believe balance is good. The male, the female, and the other, all of that is good for us. Is it possible? Yes. Is it erosive and tiresome and an everyday chore? Yes. Do you have to stay committed every hour of the day? Yes. So she's trying to get 50-50 parity. I think I don't like these, what's the word? Quotas. I don't like these quotas for having to have a certain parity of men and female breakdown. I don't think that's conducive to the type of success that you can have. You'd want the best person for the job. If that happens to be a woman, you would want that woman in that position. If it happens to be a man, you'd want that man in that position. And with being creative, it's also about like different ideas. Like obviously women are different people have different ideas, but that's the same. You can have different women can have different ideas from other women, and different men can have different ideas from other men. So you would want I don't know, like the parity thing just I don't really like buy into that. I think you should just try and go with who you think has the best pitch, the best creative idea, and then go with that. And then obviously you fill in with the people who can get the job done the best, most efficient as well. So that's, I think, what you would be looking at, rather than trying to create this quota where you want to have 50-50 in having women have 50% of the animation jobs and men having 50% of the animation jobs. That just seems like a ridiculous idea just on the surface. It just seems absurd. And while she claims she wants parity, her previous comments about the X-Men wonder if she's actually telling the truth. So if you remember back in 2019, while she was promoting Captain Marvel, she claimed the X-Men name was outdated. This is what she said. I don't know where the future is going. It's funny that people call it the X-Men. There's a lot of female superheroes in that X-Men group, so I think it's outdated. That just shows you where this person's thinking is at, where Alonso's thinking is at, and it's not there. The thinking isn't there. The X-Men, the men isn't referring to men as a gender. It's referring to the mutants as like a race. Because like men is the term that you would describe just like man, like the human race. Was how you used to describe it. But she's applying weirdo 21st century woke language to the X-Men, which just doesn't work. But it is quite shocking that they're actually admitting that they're pandering. The whole like focus on diversity and inclusion is to pander to this global audience. And then just the idea of just the 50-50 parity, just thinking about it for 30 seconds just shows how absurd it is and why it wouldn't work, because you would just want the best people for the best job. And obviously whoever is making those decisions to bring in the best people might make the wrong decision, but you would want to bring in the best people in a perfect world. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding into Comics.